Hey guys, welcome back to Passing Money. My name is Alex. This is Kirby over here. And today we're going to be talking about, is it better for an American to retire in another country rather than retiring in the US?
For me, and we're not going to get into what's the stipulations and what's the laws and rules to retire in another country. We're just talking about just cost of living and things like that.
Right.
Alex just came back from Colombia and he's seen that the US dollar goes way further in, a country in South America, Latin America, wherever it goes way further than it do in the United States. And of course, right now in the United States, we're dealing with, inflation rates that's going out of control. And if you saw the news in the last week, the Social Security jumped 8.7%. Social Security payment just to try to keep up with inflation. Um, Will we get that every year? No. Before the 8.7% rise in inflation, we did have a 5.5% rise in Social Security about 2 years ago because inflation was rising. But between there, the average increase is about 1 or 2%. So we're way behind the eight ball when it comes to taking care of people in retirement in the United States. But in my thought process in it all, and it depends what country. Of course, it always depends what country you go to. It is cheaper for Americans to live in another country than the United States. Of course, nobody wants to. Everybody wants to think first thing is, oh, well, I don't have any family friends there. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, me being somebody, I don't call myself a nomad or somebody I've lived in other countries plenty, but I don't call myself a nomad because I always knew I was coming back to the United States. But the cost of living to live in third world countries, second world countries, something like that, will go a long ways to letting your money go further than it would go in the United States. And in the US, the inflation is going to keep rising, the price is going to keep going higher. And then, people in California, if you wanted to live, a lower cost of living, you would move somewhere like Arkansas or something like that, Louisiana, somewhere in that, mid range in the Bible Belt or something like that. But in other countries, you will have a better standard of living instead of moving to like, one of the Bible Belt, middle world countries and I mean states in the United States than moving living there like Peru. It's another one. Venezuela. uh, Certain parts of Venezuela, not all of them now. Don't get crazy, but certain parts, like Alex, Colombia, and again, it's always certain parts, and that's the same thing in the United States. Certain parts in the state or certain parts in the city that you will live in, but the money will go further, especially if you're on fixed income and something like that. You won't get hit with the high inflation as you would get hit in the United States. But with that being said, Alex, what is your insight, coming from the fact that you just left another country?
Yeah, I mean, just speaking on terms of Colombia, I think, if you got your citizenship there and everything, if that was someone's plan, or maybe they're from Colombia, they came to the US, made money, now they want to go back and retire in their home country. I think it's very possible if someone took that route. Just based off of the prices there, I would say that the American dollar has the buying power about 6 times more than what their money is. Um, so I would say it's possible, but again, that's just speaking economically or financially. And I just wanted to bring it up because I think there's a lot more that goes into retiring in another country, especially than just, oh, it's cheaper there because it's a whole new culture. You might have to relearn a whole new language. Um, I've even spoken to some people that want to move to another country they've never even visited, or like live in another country they've never even visited. And to actually learn that country, learn the culture, the people, the language, there's a lot more steps to it than just, oh, I can just go there and buy a property and live there. But I think on a financial standpoint, I think some countries that are, say in Latin America, It's very affordable for an American to live there, um, more than maybe retiring in the US. But at the same time, as you said, it's also very economical for people to move to different states like Arkansas or Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, states like that that are even more cheaper than, say Florida, California, New York, states like that too. So you don't have to go across seas. You can retire within your own country, but in different locations of the country.
Yeah, and for me, just comparing the California lifestyle to a Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana lifestyle, Peru, and I bring up Peru and California because they're on the same coastal line. Um, it's to give a similarity to the environment, the great weather, beaches, stuff like that. Peru, find it gives you that same, it gives you that same atmosphere, but at a cheaper price. And then learning the language and things like that. Uh, Even in Peru, and again, I'm talking about the California to Peru transition. It's many places where there's expats there. Expats meaning people that used to be, patriated to the United States that live in there. So people learning the English and stuff like that. And then of course people on fixed income, they're gonna talk about healthcare or people that's talking about, oh, but what about healthcare and stuff like that? You can get international insurance through United, and I just name dropped the company, but I didn't mean to do that. But and you can keep that in the video, that's fine. But it's you can get international healthcare insurance. It's not just oh I might have US healthcare insurance and it won't work nowhere else. There is a such thing as international healthcare that will pay for surgeries and things like that. Maybe for your well-being, you want to just travel back to the United States if you need surgery or something like that. But a lot of these countries, their doctors and stuff like that, they're studying the United States. They study in places like India and stuff like that that has advanced healthcare services. So don't just think that you're gonna be if you go to the hospital, you're gonna be sitting in a room full of mud and get staph infection and stuff like that. It's not like that everywhere. It's that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the that's the idea that everybody wanted to plant in your head that if it's not the United States, it's not anything. But I've literally had tonsillitis in a third world country, and I'm good to go. I'm still here. Maybe I'm a little chubby, but that ain't got nothing to do with the tonsillitis. That got to do with food. And so that's just things that you got to, work through and do your research. Again, we always talk about doing the work. Don't just sit here and take our word for it. We try to provide you the resources to look for things like that. But all in all, and just speaking on a financial perspective, that for some people that it may be more advantageous for you to, hey, set up in some place like Peru if you live in California, have a cheaper cost of living, and then just visit the United States whenever you have a family reunion, have a birthday, Christmas, and stuff like that, and still have a cheaper cost of living, and you can still have the beach life, you can still have the good weather, you can still have the good food and stuff like that, and you can still have good internet. Because me, I'm a good internet person. Peru has good internet and stuff like that. So that's just my total viewpoint on
yeah. I
it.
would agree too. I mean, especially on your point where like getting a staph infection in a hospital. I think anywhere you go, if it's just like here, if you have money, you know, money changes everything pretty much. You're gonna be able to get good service, good care. I mean, my father-in-law had open heart surgery in Colombia, and he's fine. So,
Right.
um, and especially certain parts of Colombia, like downtown Bogota, look like Philadelphia in a way. So, I mean, there's certain aspects of third world countries that might remind you of America. Um, so yeah, and I mean, just like some price comparisons, I would say like like an apartment over there. Most people live in apartments, not houses. Now there are houses, but they're built like kind of townhomes unless you live in the country. But They were going for 30 to $50,000. That would be the conversion basically for, an entire apartment or something. So I think it's, as an American moving there, it could be a lot cheaper to live for sure. Like you said, someone moving to Peru from California.
Right. Yeah, with all that being said, thanks everybody for tuning into the video. If you're an expat living out of the country, please chime in and let us know what your experiences are like living out of the United States, especially in the retirement realm. And let us know. Keep us updated, keep us posted, and maybe you can give us more information on what it's like to live outside the United States. With all that being said, thanks again. Please like and subscribe to the channel, comment in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you guys.